welcome to the Neil Haley Show, television style, and I love it to get to see all my guests on the line, and it's the Provision Brokerage Celebrity segment. I'm excited to welcome to the program Eric Couch. Eric, how are you? And I know
Great.
you're excited about our guest today.
We are excited.
And we all can see it right now. Once again, it goes back and forth camera-wise. So introduce our guest, and we'll get started.
So if you don't recognize the famous Blue Eyes, Grand Ole Opry member, country music female vocalist of the year, Miss Martina McBride is joining us today, and we're going to have a great talk.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. And how are you holding up with the pandemic right now and dealing with everything? I know things are starting to open up, but it's been a crazy 6 weeks plus for sure.
Yeah, it has. I'm doing okay. You know, I'm a little bit of a homebody anyway, so it hasn't been too difficult for me or too big of an adjustment staying home. Mm-hmm. I have my husband here and my 3 daughters, so they're 22, 25, and 14. So we've been spending a lot of time together, doing puzzles and cooking a lot, and it's been okay.
All right, Eric, first question for Martina.
So, you know, talking about the pandemic and staying home and being that, how has it been making music during a global pandemic?
Well,
what does that look like?
Yeah, well, we recorded Girls Like Me, my new
Mm-hmm.
single. So I chose a producer before we had the isolation orders. I chose a producer named Nathan Chapman, whom I've worked with before. And I went to his house and I played him the song, played him the demo. We agreed to do the song together. Mm-hmm. And then bam, like maybe 2 or 3 days later, our isolation orders came through. So yeah. I was kind of thinking, how am I going to record this song? I mean, the studios are closed. You can't gather musicians together to record. Well, luckily, he's brilliant and he is a gifted musician, and he was able to play every instrument on the record and record them at his house and do the background vocals as well. My husband and I own a studio in Nashville called Blackbird Studio. Mm-hmm. And so it was closed, but I was able to go down there and record my vocal because there was nobody there. So I was still in isolation doing that. So I was able to record my vocal, and then we would just communicate by phone, send each other stuff back and forth over the internet. And so really from the time we started making the record, we were never in the same building together, me and the producer. So it was challenging. I mean, we luckily had the same vision for the song, and I think he made a beautiful track. But I missed the camaraderie of the musicians being together and bouncing ideas off of each other. You know, it wasn't my favorite way to work, but I will say it was efficient. It was very efficient. We talked about that. There was no, storytelling or hanging out at lunch or any distractions. So, I can't wait to get back in the studio with a group of musicians.
So that interaction time when you get to record is much different, right? The feedback or more the camaraderie? What do you think it is?
I think it's more the camaraderie. I think making music is by its nature usually a kind of a communal experience.
Yeah.
So I mean, we enjoy that energy and that most musicians in this town know each other, so there's a lot of, it's fun.
That's a good word to say. It's fun. Okay, Eric, next question. Talk about how we're going to go into Songland now. Go ahead, Eric.
Right. So, for listeners and viewers that have watched Songland, tell us about, song Girls Like Me, and, it debuted, but tell us about kind of where that came from and fill us in there.
Yeah, so Songland is a show that supports up-and-coming songwriters. Mm-hmm. And so I was able to go out to LA before all this happened. It was in February. Flew out there, heard 4 songs, chose 3.
Okay.
After the songwriters would play their songs for me and the panel of mentors, which are all 3 songwriters and producers, we would spend about 45 minutes. It got edited down, but we spent about 45 minutes with each song talking about how some of the changes maybe to make it more of a tailor fit for me, from my voice and experience and career. So then I came back home and they got together and worked for 6 days. And then I came back out to LA and they played me the new songs. And I chose Feels Like Me because I loved the message of it. I love the fact that you're saying, look, life can be messy. Like everybody has insecurities. Everybody makes mistakes. I've been there. It's going to be okay. And, you know, we all try so hard to be tough and not show our vulnerability. But, you know, I just love the fact that and it's for girls, but I think it's for guys too. I think it's for anybody out there who just needs a little encouragement and positivity.
What do you think of Songland in a lot of ways of how the collaboration with the writer and the artist? It's pretty cool, isn't it?
It's really cool. And you know, the thing I love the most about the show is that it's positive. There's nobody that's trying to tear anybody down. It's like really honest feedback, constructive, positive, nurturing. It's just all those good things.
Awesome. Eric, next question.
Okay, so now I'm told that when you were inducted into Grand Ole Opry, that was by one of your just mentor role models.
Yes.
Miss Loretta Lynn.
My mug that I'm drinking my coffee out of.
There we go.
Yeah.
So who have been some of the influencers in your life?
Well, let's see. When I was growing up, my biggest vocal idol was Linda Ronstadt.
Yeah.
And also Pat Benatar. I was a very big Pat Benatar fan. I'd spend hours in my bedroom singing to those two women's records.
Yeah.
Loretta, obviously, and I've gotten the chance to get to know her over the past few years, which is a life treasure. And then Reba, you know, I was looked up to Reba a lot, the way she conducted her business and the way she carried herself and her, you know, her individuality and her singing. So those are probably three that I can think of off the top of my head. But a lot of people, you know, you take a little bit of something from everybody as you're listening and growing up, especially.
Yeah. And you see that when you take those mentors and put it together into your own image, your own thought process. And that's always a work in progress, right? Even trying to grow in your career and say, okay, I need to make some changes here or there. Do you critique yourself a lot?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm a perfectionist. I once I was talking to somebody and they said, you're a perfectionist, right? And I'm like, yeah. And they said, you know, it might serve you well to let go a little bit, but it's hard for me because I care so much about it and I love what I do and I just want it to be right, you know? So whether it's the music or whether it's making business decisions, whether it's taking care of people in my organization, you know, my own family decisions, all of it. When I write the cookbooks, you know, I'm very involved because I feel like it is me, you know, and people, when they see the work that you put out or how you live your life or whatever it is, I feel like when they see me, they see the real thing. So it's authentic, and that authenticity is really important to me.
It's a powerful thing. Okay, Eric, next question.
Okay, so you have a lot of songs that have really made an impact. Of course, Independence Day is on Sean Hannity, I think every episode, right? And then you know, Blessed is one that has impacted our home and family. My wife actually sang it when she auditioned for American Idol and made it through like the first several rounds with that song. So, you know, that holds a place in you know, our family. And then, you know, so many others, In My Daughter's Eyes. You know, it's just such a, you know, music is telling stories, right? But there's a lot more to you. So like you said, you've got daughters in your 20s. You've been married for how many years now?
102. No. Friday, it'll be 32 years.
Oh,
32 years. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
So you know, with all of that, right? There's the music, there's the family, there's a 32-year marriage. That's a big deal. We celebrate 20 years at the end of the month.
Mhm.
And you know, what's the legacy you would like to leave?
I think that I don't know. You know, I've thought of this question. I've been asked this question, but right now I want to figure out how to express it. I just think that I maybe made a difference to somebody, you know, with my music. Maybe they heard a song that made them feel like somebody understood what they were going through, or that they weren't alone in this life journey. Brought them some comfort or some inspiration. So that's musically, that's kind of what I want to leave behind, is a catalog of songs that matter to somebody. And then everything else, you know, hopefully I'll be remembered as a person who lived my life in a way that served others and made the world a little bit of a better place.
Yeah.
And that's the fantastic part of it. But where can we connect with you? Your latest song, everything. Where's the best place?
Well, I'm on all social media. Well, not all social media, but Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook under just Martina McBride. But make sure it has a blue check mark behind it, because there's a lot of fakers out there.
Okay.
A lot of fake accounts. So yeah, that's where. And then I have a website, martinamcbride.com, where we have the video up, and it's also on YouTube. So we're just all over the internet, basically.
Fabulous. And then also check out Songland on NBC. Always work with NBC on a regular basis. And then thank you, NBC, for making this happen as well, or the connections. I've been working with them on a regular basis, and they do great things. And, you know, Shane and all of them at Songland are fantastic. What a great idea. What a great idea to really highlight not just the performer, but the person behind the music. And I think that's awesome.
Exactly. I love it.
All right. Well, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it.
Okay. Thanks, you guys.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Stay safe.
You
Bye-bye.
see it. Bye-bye. You're listening to Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Christopher Hall Show, and it's television for me. Dr. Hall's on the phone at the emergency room. So, Dr. Hall, how are you? And you know what? Thank you for your service. All the challenges you're going through right now, battling the coronavirus. I appreciate you calling from Alabama. How are you, Dr. Hall?
I'm doing great. And again, we are using all the proper guidelines and taking care of patients, and some things are going pretty well.
Well, that's fantastic. And again, thank you for your service. There's two reasons, and I know Terrell will be very happy. Again, he is in the military as well, Dr. Hall. So, and as Terrell definitely honors the military, he's probably happy to know the two things. Again, thank you for your service in both ways. But introduce our guest. I'm excited because everyone that's watching via YouTube and also on BPTV Channel 7 are able to see this man on screen, so they'd already know who's our guest is. But introduce our guest, Dr. Hall.
Well, no problem. I'm very excited. Well, it's my honor to introduce a two-time NFL Super Bowl championship, an individual who has also worked as an NFL correspondent. And so we know popularly as TD. I would like to introduce Mr. Terrell Davis. Welcome to the show, Terrell.
Hey, thank you very much. I'll give you a big Mahi salute for that intro. I appreciate you having me on this show. Life's been good. Thank you, Doc Hall, for your service and for continually being out there on the front line, making sure that Americans have a safe place to operate, and that we can keep this country going. So we appreciate you for that. And listen, I'm just excited to be on the show. Life is good. Just hoping that we can get out of this quarantine soon rather than later. But I'm just trying to maintain a positive attitude right now.
And maintaining that positive attitude is important. So how are you holding up with the coronavirus? We're talking off air and different things, but how are you holding up?
I'm doing well. I try to look at every situation and find something that is that's positive. And so being at home for the last, I guess, month and a half, one of the positives that I've taken away from it was I've had a chance to do things that I wouldn't ordinarily have to do, like being around my family, spending time with my kids, watching them actually interact with their teachers, because they're doing all that stuff, the kind of homeschool, and really get a chance to kind of see that up close and personal, So I think the quality time with my family has really been great. Haven't traveled a whole lot, so I got a chance to just relax at home and not feel like I'm constantly on some type of, just whirlwind. So give me a chance to slow down a little bit.
All right, Dr. Hall, what is your first question for Terrell?
Sure, well, no problem. Well, Terrell, it's just exciting to have you here on the show. Tell us a little bit about just kind of where you're from, where you went to high school, and how did you get interested in football?
I'm born and raised in San Diego, California. I'm the youngest of 6 boys, and where I grew up, sports was kind of a way my parents babysat us, I guess. Just like you got 6 boys, my mom and dad worked a lot, and so sports was kind of that vehicle, that little place where we had to kind of spend a lot of time doing those. And as a child, I played basketball, I played baseball, played soccer, played all sports, and football, obviously. But football was the one sport that, for some reason, was the one that I gravitated towards. That was it. I wasn't good at baseball. I wasn't good at basketball. I was decent at soccer, but football was the one. It was something about the physicality of football was the one that kind of drew me towards football more. And I played from the age of 7 years old all the way until I retired in 2002. So it was a fun ride. I love the game.
It definitely seems like a fun ride. And
Incredible.
What made you love football the most? What was that thing that kind of made you excited to go on the field and say, this is the sport I choose?
It was kind of an evolution. I remember as a 7-year-old kid, I loved the game, meaning I loved the Saturdays that we would play the games. I would love scoring touchdowns. I liked that sort of that ability from a physical standpoint to be able to impose my will on another human being. And I remember as a 7-year-old kid, I could hit a kid as hard as I wanted to. I remember I broke a kid's arm before, and I didn't get in trouble for it. And I thought that was, kind of cool. I could be as physical as I want to. Matter of fact, I got praised for it. And so I thought that was interesting, and I just liked that. But then I didn't appreciate the practice and all the other stuff early on, all the hard parts, the practice, playing through injuries, all that stuff. That was part of the game that I had to eventually accept as it's part of football. And you have to love everything, not just scoring touchdowns and playing a game when you feel good. And I've learned to do that over the years.
Scoring touchdowns.
Wow.
I guess everybody loves to be the football star, and that was Terrell for sure. And that's what made him love the game. But we'll learn more about things because Dr. Hall will have some great questions about life. And that's where I really want to know about Terrell. And that leads into the final part of the chapter. And the story today will be the product that he's talking about, but how it's going to help benefit. And I'm hoping I could use it as well because of health. But we'll go into that in a little bit. But go ahead, Dr. Hall, with your next question.
Oh, well, no problem. No problem at all. Well, I was reading a little bit about Terrell, and it looked like he went to Abraham Lincoln High School. And let me ask you this, Terrell. Did you guys ever play a high school called Manual Arts High School? Just wondering.
I did not play against Manual Arts. I don't believe so. You're asking me that question as if you know the answer to it, and I don't believe so. Did I?
I'm thinking probably so, because I went to high school there, and I know we used to play against Jordan and Lincoln and those schools. So, but anyway, tell us a little bit about going to school in that environment and from that community, were there any particular challenges that you thought were challenging for young people back then?
Yeah, I grew up in a place they call Southeast San Diego, and it was challenging because if you were a teenager, there wasn't a lot of things that were drawing you towards positive things. You know, had sports. There wasn't a lot of like extracurricular things that you can get into that was available for the kids in our community. So the easy thing that kids would get trapped in would be obviously hanging out with, you know, gangs and doing sort of the drug stuff and just kind of not really living with a purpose. And I kind of fell into that trap as a teenager too, where when my dad died at the age of when I was 13, I kind of lost sight of really everything. Life didn't have the meaning that I thought it had at that point. And so I kind of strayed a little bit into that world and I almost got killed. And I had to really change my thinking and really get back on the straight and narrow because I was like, wait a minute, like this is a dead end street. So it was easy to get off track in San Diego where I lived if you didn't have people keeping you on the straight and narrow. And so I eventually got back. But the challenge is really like any community for kids who have a lot of time and really they're not doing anything. And that's the trappings of that type of environment. But yeah, I was able to really have, I think, an awareness, which was, when I look back at it, it was kind of different because I don't know what made me think like that. But I had to have that self-talk. It was kind of that moment where you think, hey, listen, I better do something differently or
Exactly.
I'm going to find myself like everybody else.
And that's true. And that's the hardest part.
Wow.
When you hit that area where you say, oh my gosh, I have to make a change. And do you think football or a mentor made you make that change?
Yeah, it was. I'm gonna tell you what exactly what it was. It was the incident that happened where I had the gun pulled on me, and I was staring down the barrel or barrels of a double barrel shotgun. And when I went home, I was laying in the bed. And I just kept replaying that moment over and over and over again. And then I just told myself that I can't put myself in that situation again. And so then that's when a process started of me thinking about making a change. And at that time, I was skipping school. I was flunking out of high school. My grades were bad. And I started just slowly making a change. And then like 2 weeks after I started to make that change, I ran into one of my first Pop Warner coach. And he was asking me if I was playing sports, and I told him no. And he's like, man, you better get back to playing sports. And it's like, I told him, I'm trying to, but the school I was at was Morris High School at the time. And my grades were bad. I didn't feel like I was in a position to even try for the team because I didn't think from a talent standpoint I could make the team. So that began me going through a process of transferring to another high school, which was Lincoln High School. And so I started this process of trying to get my grades up, and I went through this whole transformation, man. And it was, I look back on it, my mentor actually helped me in terms of changing my thinking and making me get back into sports. But ultimately, it came down to me making that decision and that I had to change and put the work in and do all that stuff to change really the trajectory of my career and my life.
Wow.
And I did it, man. So
that's
why I just tell kids this all the time, that if your thinking change, your mind is going to control your actions. And if you believe that you have a higher purpose or you're not walking down the path you want to walk down, it's up to you to make that change. Nobody else is going to do it for you. You got to do it yourself.
You got to make the change, and sometimes you reinvent yourself in so many ways. And that's the key component that's hard for people to get out of their comfort zone. And you definitely made that right decision. And Dr. Hall, wouldn't you agree? He made that right decision when he finally decided I'm going to go back to sports. And it really parallels Dr. Hall's life. I was talking about he was a ward of the state. He was getting in the same kind of trouble you were, TD. So Dr. Hall's not correct at one point in your life as well.
Well, most definitely, and so that's why it's so incredible. I mean, to come from such a humble background that TV comes from, and then to raise to the heights that he's had. I mean, he's an example for wow, a lot of young men out there, and so it's very exciting. It's very motivating and uplifting, particularly during this time of this virus affecting our country. So, wow.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so, what's your next question for TD, Dr. Hall?
Well, yeah, well, sure, no problem. So, so TD, tell us a little bit about, I mean, your college experiences. I know that I think that you went to San Diego State and then ended up there at the University of Georgia. How did that affect your just kind of what you've done in the future so far as professional football and any experiences from college you think that helped shape you?
Yeah. Actually, I went to Long Beach State, 49ers.
Exactly. Yeah, Cal State Long Beach. I'm sorry. That's what I meant. I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. Long Beach State. We weren't very good. We weren't very good, so it's okay. Everything that I've done in my life, from high school, actually from Pop Warner to high school to college, and whether it was Long Beach or Georgia, I feel like all of those ingredients helped made me into the player and person that I am today. And I can go back on every level and point to what I call pivotal moments that happen in every single level to say that I owe my career to that moment. And so I try to look at all the moments and things that happened to me as building blocks to, okay, that's why I was able to kind of fight adversity because of what happened in this moment. Or, at Long Beach State, we weren't very good, for example. And we, first year there, we won 6 games. We're 6-5. And that to us was a really good season. And then the second year we went 2-9. And so having to be on a team and play in a game where every game you go into, the chances of you winning weren't great. So you have to be able to perform on a level and not let the score or the chances that you're going to lose dictate your level of effort. And I learned that at Long Beach, that every game, I knew we weren't going to win the game, but I had to bring my A game. I was trying to bring the A game. And so that served me well when I went to Georgia, Georgia, and, we were winning there, but then we lost some games. And that just became kind of the mentality that I had was, all right, no matter who I'm playing for, no matter what the score is, I'm going to try to bring my best game. And so, I try to take things like that from that experience, and there's quite a few other things, but that's kind of been my mindset from taking things from a place like Long Beach State.
All right, so TD, very interesting when you talk about Georgia. How amazing was it to play for the University of Georgia, especially on Saturdays, game day there? It's an unbelievable environment, wasn't it?
Oh man, it was incredible. Yeah, you go from basically two ends of the spectrum, from Long Beach State, that had some of the worst facilities in the country, worst uniforms, under budget, that didn't have a lot going on. It was if you look at 120 programs, the Long Beach State might have been 121. I mean, it's not a real good program. And then you go from that to one of the top programs in the country in Georgia, and you see the difference in the facilities. You see the difference in, the athletes that they were recruiting there, the school. And so it's two different worlds, and so it gave me a greater appreciation when I was there as to what I saw there versus what I saw at Long Beach State. And man, I was blessed to be able to play in a school like that and to get that experience from Georgia.
Yes.
Before I played in the league, because that's SEC football. That's big time, man. Yeah.
You get that big time. You're getting close ready for the NFL. Yeah. Okay, Dr. Hall, what's your next question for Terrell?
Oh well, so you ended up at the University of Georgia, and so how was that? Just a big difference from a place like Long Beach State. I mean, that's obviously big time football. What were the attributes or difference in a place like University of Georgia versus Long Beach State?
Well, talent-wise, Long Beach State, and I have a lot of friends that went there, and they're my buddies. But from the recruiting standpoint, you're talking about recruiting maybe two-star athletes or athletes who, for one reason or another, didn't come through from high school to college, may have went to junior college or something like that. But you're not picking off the top talent in the country. You're picking off circumstantial players or players who just don't have any other school to go to, no other option. Whereas Georgia, you're getting the best talent in the country. 4-star athletes, 5-star athletes. It's just the competition was just much more intense at Georgia than it was at Long Beach. And I needed that. I needed to see that. Obviously looking back on my career, being able to compete against that type of competition and then work my way up from like 7th on the depth chart all the way to being a starter, that gives you some confidence in your abilities once you're able to do that. And I could have come from Long Beach State straight to the pros, and I probably would have been shocked at the amount of talent that, the pro players had, and may not have fared as well as I did going through Georgia.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. And you talked about that talent range. When did you know you were going to be an NFL? You were going to make it to the NFL? Like at Long Beach, I'm sure you weren't thinking NFL at that point in time. Once you went to Georgia, when did you know, hey, I'm going to definitely be able to go to the NFL?
I didn't know until I didn't know until I was actually playing in the league, until I actually made the team and became a starter, and then played a few games into that. And then I had to kind of convince myself that, all right, you're here. That's not the hard part. The hard part is staying here. Getting there is challenging, but it's how do you stay there? How do you not only stay there, but how do you keep improving? And I didn't realize that until it was one of our games my rookie year. We played the Houston Oilers. That's how long ago it was, man. We played the Houston Oilers, and I had my biggest run to that point. And I don't remember the week. It might have been week 7 or something like that. And I hadn't had a run that long all season long. And I finally got a long run and outran some defenders. And after that run, that was the moment where I said, I know I can play on this level. And, it took that one play for me to say I could play on this level.
That's really humble, Terrell, to say that. A lot of people will say they figured out I'm going to be an NFL player when I'm in college. You didn't know if you belonged until you got there. That's impressive to say. A lot of them have the ego that say no, something different.
Yeah, I mean, people talk about like your mentality about how you belong places. Now, I certainly had a quiet confidence in my ability, but I just didn't know. I mean, I didn't know until once I got to Denver. It took actually leadership. It took my coaches to really say, "Hey, we believe in you." And not only we believe in you, but we're gonna give you tools to help you be a better player. On top of the talent you already have, you already have the right sort of approach, mentality, but we're going to help you believe more in your abilities. And that's what happened. So I had people who believed in me more than I did for a while. And then as I started seeing the results started to come, I'm like, okay, all right. So now my mentality started to change a little bit as well.
Okay, Dr. Hall, next question for Terrell.
Wow, that's incredible, Terrell. So, it appears, life after the NFL sometimes is difficult for players once they leave the NFL, but you've obviously been quite successful. What's your formula for that, Terrell? Of just all the things you've done, being a correspondent, you've been obviously on television, a number of shows. What's the formula for that, for guys who leave the league and to make that transition?
I can tell you what, it has not been easy. And I have not, I've had my failures, I've had my successes. I've been just like everybody else who, you know, whether you play a sport or if you're in business, you're gonna lose some, you're gonna win some. That's just the nature, of life. So, but I also believe that my failures, just like on the football field and in sports, are assets, and I look at them as an asset and not a liability. I think that's the difference in my approach. Is if I fell off the field, I take the same approach as I did on the field, just like any great player would. I was watching the Last Dance, and Michael Jordan was talking about how many, he missed 9,000 shots. And so the great players look at failure as an opportunity to learn and to grow. And that's how I see it in business. I've messed up a few times in business, but I've bounced back, and I'm taking that knowledge of losing and then applying that to something else, and I've had successes. So I think the one thing, I guess my advice to anybody is you got to run towards your failures and don't be afraid to take that shot.
Exactly.
Keep taking that shot, man. That's the only way you're going to discover and really find the true you, and really kind of find your true value and your potential. Is you've got to allow yourself to fail. And the worst thing you can do in whether it's sport or business or something, is be afraid to take that chance.
Exactly.
And because you can't look at it and say, all right, well, what if I fail? You know what? So what if I fail? At least I know. At least I know that it didn't work out.
It's so powerful.
Yeah. That's just kind of the mentality that I have.
I'm very impressed, and I have to watch The Last Dance. I've watched Tiger King, not The Last Dance. No,
yeah.
I have to add that. I have to add that to my list. And I ended up last week having the lady from PETA that was in Tiger King. She was on my show for the radio show.
Oh, really?
She really had some interesting things. Did you watch Tiger King? I bring up that question.
I watched Tiger King. I actually watched it, and no one told me to. I was just flipping through Netflix, and I saw it, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. Some exotic animals, and I just started watching it. And I couldn't stop watching it. Watched one episode, next episode, I think I went through, like 6 seasons or whatever it is. I went through that like it was nothing. I just binge watched it.
Exactly. It's just, it's a train wreck. And we have to watch train wrecks when we're quarantined, right? We have to, that's exactly, because we're in that quarantine. Okay, Dr. Hall, next question for Terrell.
Sure. Yeah, and so, there's literally, thousands of people across the world listening to this interview, Terrell. Lots of young people who would love to be in your shoes as a former NFL Super Bowl champ. A lot of young men were actually, some of them are in the city and living in their city, going to high schools in their city. And so what would be your advice to these young men who want to strive to be successful as professional athletes and then in the entertainment world?
Yeah, if you're anybody, it doesn't, it doesn't matter for me what you want to be successful in, whether it's sports, business, entertainment, whatever it is. You have to start to lay the foundation for that right now. And if you're in high school, you got to take care of your business, and that is, go to school, get the good grades. Don't get in your own way. In other words, meaning if you have to go to school and you got to graduate, then take care of the school. I know you might be thinking, I might want to be a movie producer. I might want to be in the music business. Those are all fine, but if you're in school, take care of that first. And then secondly, I would say, man, make the commitment. Make the commitment in your mind. Have a vision for what you want to do, and start to do things and take steps that's going to help you go in that direction. Maybe it's an internship. Maybe it's following somebody or reaching out to somebody who's doing what you want to do, and who has what you want. And so if you do those things, commit to it, ask yourself the simple question: how bad do you want it? What price you willing to pay for it? Know what that price is, and then get to work and start doing it.
All right, so we are close to running out. We got to find out the story about what currently you think is a great idea, the CBD. We talked about the software. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so my company is called Defy. It's right here. I said drinkdefy.com. And it started over 2 years ago when I discovered CBD for the first time. Ended up using it, and it's been incredible for me up to that point. From 2002 up into 2017, I hadn't ran. I was about 25 pounds overweight. I had chronic inflammation in my knee and my joints. I had, pain. So when I would work out, if I tried to work out, I would be set back for 3 to 4 days because my body would just ache. It would just rebel. And after I started using CBD 2 years ago, I just noted my body started to change.
Right.
I could work out day after day after day. The inflammation in my joints started to settle down a little bit more. The chronic pain that dissipated. And so I had really gotten my life back. And so I don't know if you see me now, but 2 years ago, I was 230 pounds. Today I weighed in this morning, I was 199.
Oh, wow.
So and my playing weight was 208, so I'm lighter than my playing weight. I just feel great, feel fantastic. So when I went on this journey and I thought, you know what, wow, CBD has really changed my life, the light bulb went on. And I said, you know what, I want to be able to share this experience with other players who are going through the same things that I'm going through. But at that time, I didn't really have wasn't a brand, because we had tried a bunch of brands, over 50 brands we had tried, and I didn't have enough confidence to say, hey, buddy, you need to be using this brand. So the idea was, wait a minute, if I was able to create a brand, made sure that it was the gold standard, that everything was based off science, that we made everything above board and the finest quality CBD out there, then we got a chance to be able to, not only help some people, but obviously, make some money in the process. And that's what we started out to do. We started off with our company in 2017. We launched in 2019. We got a performance drink that's been out. It's really been good. It's got electrolytes in it, B vitamins, coconut water, highest quality CBD. But the most important thing is that we have 0 THC in our drinks. And that is the psychoactive part of the plant that if you have THC, makes you get, a little buzz going. So we removed that from all of our products. And I've been on that since, and it's been great, man. And we've had partnerships in IndyCar. We've had partnerships in pro tennis. And we're just really looking to grow the brand. And, my goal and aspiration would be a few years from now that in NFL locker rooms and major professional sports locker rooms, our products will be there.
Awesome. Dr. Hall, summarize Terrell. I have a couple questions for him after that, but summarize because you have to bounce. But go ahead and summarize Terrell.
Wow. Well, no problem at all. Well, so there you have it. From the Sunshine State to the gridirons of Georgia, then to the NFL, 2-time Super Bowl NFL champ, Pro Bowler, giving us some great advice for young people and explaining to us how we can go through difficult times and still be successful. So thanks for coming on the show and talk to me, Terrell.
My pleasure. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
All right, and we're going to continue the conversation with Terrell for the Neil Haley Show. Dr. Hall, I will edit that part into it. But I appreciate, Dr. Hall, your service and everything that you're doing. And go take care of your patients now. Appreciate you taking the time.
Most definitely. Thanks, sir. Have a great day.
All right. We're still here live with Terrell Davis. And Terrell, I have to ask you, how did it feel winning a Super Bowl? That's one question I really wanted to ask you. How did it feel becoming a Super Bowl champion? that first time, especially with what John was dealing with, right? John was dealing with, we got to win one for John. And he just, it was such a challenge, and no one thought, hey, can we do it? And then to finally become a champ.
It's hard to explain, because I don't know if there's a word that will encapsulate everything. If I say it was great, that doesn't really give it, serve it justice. It's just, it's a euphoric kind of feeling. I always tell like a kid, I said, imagine if somebody said you can go to Toys R Us, and they don't have Toys R Us anymore. I think they're coming back, but you can go to a toy store.
Yeah.
And go in that toy store and shop for as much as you want to.
Yes.
That's the feeling you get when you win Super Bowl. Go in there and shop for as many toys you want to, and I'm going to pay for it. And you know how excited you are about that,
yes.
right? That's what it feels like. It is, and I think part of it because you waited so long for it, and it wasn't guaranteed. You weren't promised you were going to win it. You had to go through a number of steps, challenges, obstacles to fight for this thing. And the back of your mind is always there. And then you finally come to the moment when it's the last play of the game and you know you're about to win that game. And then you're like, wow, like the culmination of all this hard work is finally paid off. And now we get a chance to feel it. And it's not a one moment thing. Like once you win it, after that game, it carries for months.
Yeah.
It doesn't just, it's not just, all right, the day you win it, okay, then the next day it's something new. It carries with you from that moment for months. And that's why it's hard to repeat, because a lot of people are still thinking about the last time they won it, and they forget that, we're writing another game, and this is the next season. And
you won the second one. Does that feel the same as the first?
You know what? It didn't. It didn't feel the same way at all. You go to that second one, and you try to. You think you want it to feel the same, but it almost is like that diminishing return. Like if you can eat a bunch of pizzas at home, right? The first piece is always the best bite, right? There's the best piece. You get to piece number 5, you're like, it's still good. It's still good pizza, but it ain't like that first bite. It's a little similar to winning that second one.
Gotcha.
We felt the second one we were favorite over the Atlanta Falcons.
You ran through the season like crazy that year.
Yeah, that year we had a really good year. We were 14-2, and we were on like a historical run. We had won, I believe, before we lost. We had won like 18 straight games from the following year, and we went 13 straight off the gate that year. So. It was we were expected to win it, and we were confident we were going to win it again. But the first one was sweeter. Yeah, I would say the first was sweeter.
But the headaches, that's one thing people forget about, the headaches you went through, that challenge.
Yeah, migraine headaches. I had those since I was 9 years old. Dealing with that stuff was been tough, and that's been part of the obstacle or obstacles of playing a sport where you get migraine headaches. As a 9-year-old kid. The doctor insisted that I didn't play football. He knew that every time that I would play football,
oh my gosh,
the likelihood of getting a migraine was there. And so he's like, you know what? He told my mom and my dad, he can't play football. And I was like, the hell with that, I'm gonna play. And I continued to play football, and I was gonna take the chance that I'll get a migraine headache because I love the game that much.
Wow. And that's the thing. And what would you think your greatest accomplishment in the NFL? What would you say? You going?
Yeah. As a player? I mean, as a
player.
But I mean, like individually or as a team?
Individually.
Like, individually, it would probably be the 2,000-yard season.
Yeah.
Be able to go over 2,000 yards. That's only 7 players have ever done it. At the time, I was the 4th player to do it. So that was pretty sweet. But yeah, the championships are by far, you say like whether it's team or individual, the Super Bowls. Those are
Absolutely. And
yeah.
what made you
I'll get back that 2,000-yard season if you give me another Super Bowl.
now, what is the reason you said you weren't a great basketball player? You're a big fan of basketball. You have Jordan, Bird, or you're a fan of champions. What would you say? Because
Yeah.
that's the thing as an entrepreneur, you brought up the whole entrepreneur thing, saying I want to strive the highest level that I achieved even as an NFL player. And then you have champions. Do you see champions in sports relate to business in so many ways?
Absolutely.
I can tell.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. There is a correlation. And, I give talks and, corporate talks and building actually an online platform, which is going to be some lessons. And part of what I've observed over my lifetime, and didn't know it when I was in it, but the one thing we all have that we all can control is the way we think. I can't control how fast I am. I can't control anything physically. Everybody's kind of tapped out. You can only be so fast, so tall, so strong. But our mind is the one thing we can all be champions in. And that doesn't require talent. It requires a lot of want to, a lot of desire, a lot of you have to be able to form some mental toughness. But we all can do it, and that's what the champions have. When I was playing, I used my mind because my mind was the strongest muscle that I had. I'm like, okay, I know I can make this team, not based off a lot of my physical attributes, but I'm going to make this team because mentally I'm going to outwork the next person. I'm going to bounce back from any adversity. I'll be resilient. And those qualities are all good qualities for the business world that you have to have. Exactly. You gotta be resilient.
Yes. You
gotta think that you gotta have the I can versus I can't mentality.
Yeah.
So when you go through a checklist of a champion's mindset, you may not be able to dunk like Jordan or hit a golf ball like Tiger Woods, exactly. But I can guarantee you can have their same mentality and apply that to anything in life. And you will be successful at it because it's the way you think.
And that's great when you do those corporate talks to say that. Set the bar high for yourself and really have high expectations of success. And that's what you have for Defy. And that's what also you have with your online business soon to come and speaking and all that. And it's perfect timing to learn all that during this pandemic to kind of get your ducks in the water, ready to roll when everything gets back to normal.
Exactly.
Awesome. Where's the best place we connect with you and all that? Learn about Defy, all those things. Where can we go?
Yeah, so for Defy, you can go to drinkdefy.com. That's our website. If you want to go, I have my personal website, terrelldavis.com. It's being revamped, but it's still up. And then you can follow me on Instagram, the real Terrell Davis on Instagram, and then on Twitter is Terrell_Davis. So that's awesome. How you kind of, you hit me on LinkedIn too. I'm on LinkedIn, so
I'll have to connect with you. I'll definitely have to connect with you on LinkedIn. We have to stay in touch, and it's such a great opportunity to go face to face. And I said I have to go face to face with one of my childhood favorites, and that's I'm a Denver Bronco fan. And my Pittsburgh people are probably getting mad at me. I interviewed Ike Taylor last week for Podcast Magazine, but I didn't get to do it face to face. But sorry, Terrell Davis, Denver Broncos, those two Super Bowls felt so good to me as a childhood favorite of the Broncos to finally see it. So I appreciate you stopping by, and everyone needs to check you out. And thanks for taking the time. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Neil. Appreciate it, brother.
All right. That was the Dr. Christopher Hall Show on the Total Media Network, everyone.